Hi everyone, and welcome to the Extreme Transformation Coaching. By now you should have received your initial instructions for the UDIFA series you'll be receiving, as well as the butt-kicking essentials to start to put into practice more than theory. I use that word practice, which means actually doing what's been said. So for example, when you get the Sin Sheet attributes, it's tried on the way you would try on different clothing. There are certain attributes, the first one being charitable, that we look at what's written and then utilize that as a practice for the next few days until you get the next attribute. So for any decision you have to make, if you thought, if I were going to make this decision by being charitable, how would I then be being? And that's the choice of words. How would I then be being? That's our power, how we choose to be. You guys are all the pioneers in the Extreme Transformation Coaching that have all joined on in this last month. This has been a new program, so therefore you're all very dear to my heart, as well as will be guaranteed that we get the results that we're going to set out to throughout the next 12 months. Some of you will achieve much sooner, some of you may take a bit longer, depending on what those goals and dreams are. We're not going to begin by setting our goals. That we're going a little bit away from the mainstream, but if the mainstream was what had worked, you would already have, I guess, those results in your lives. What we're going to work with at the moment that I want to discuss today is some unseen limitations. I'd rather work with what we've not yet identified or do not see or notice as our obstacles. However, we're getting the results that show that we do have those difficulties in our lives, be it in our financial area, be it in our relationship area, be it in our health area, whichever part that is being impacted, because there is no one area of our life, if there's an inconsistency, that it doesn't eventually then flow into other areas. Now, most of you will know, however there will be a few that don't, that I am presently pregnant and fortunately I'm flowing through this very easily at the moment, except seem to be experiencing the shortness of breath. So if you hear me huffing and puffing a few times, don't think, oh my God, Rosie's really gotten unfit. It seems to be the only side effect, and as you all know, I try to get a lot in with as few words as possible. Now, with this program, as I said, I'm quite excited. Even one of the girls that worked for me the last 12 months, JC, who no longer works for me, has actually put her money where her mouth is and joined up as well herself. So that should speak as a bit of a testimonial, someone that I've had influence over for the last 6 months that has has chosen to, fork out of their own pocket to make sure that they continue to get the results that they were previously getting. The benefit to yourselves as well is going to be getting access to me. Now, the better questions that you ask me, the better I know what you need. Each is going to be unique in your own circumstances of what your challenges are. Now, trust me, having worked in this industry for such a lengthy period of time and worked with so many people that were immersed in their own difficulties, however, not seeing that they were the creators of this, myself included, that's probably the most challenging aspect on our path to success, is seeing where we're part of a problem that we're recreating. And especially when we're all answering going, hey, but I don't want this. The difference is whether we want it or not, we're creating it. The difference is by becoming intentional and deliberate, which is the whole purpose of this pathway and journey that you've joined and entrusted yourselves, I guess, to my guidance through this. And that's something that I take very sincerely to my heart. It's been my lifelong passion for myself personally, first and foremost, before it was professionally. And, the person that I was 20 years ago, I couldn't even identify with today. That's the difference in mindsets. And of course, the difference in lifestyle is equally as remote 20 years ago as to what I currently experience today. So when I said I'm going to address unseen limitations, I'm going to start with one pretty big major one. Now, whenever I share information, be it in the UDIFA series or through the butt-kicking basic essentials, what I want you to do is have pen and paper ready. If you're driving along in a car and you're listening to the audio that way, just pay attention, because obviously I'm not going to help with dangerous driving by saying take notes now, is to take note instead of just the words or the sentences or any particular statement that strikes a chord with you. They're the ones that are reacting and responding to your own programs that you've already got instilled at this age and stage in life. So the first unseen limitation I'm going to work with is a big F word. And that F word is forgiveness. And the challenge is to not drink in the poison every day. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. It's the weak who cannot forgive. And you'll be aware of people and will have heard of circumstances in your lives that people reiterate and repeat on a regular basis whatever has been done to the wrong to them, be it in the economy, be it in business, be it personally. Bitterness and resentment is the erosive acid to harmony, health and happiness. Know that there is no path to joy that includes unforgiveness as a companion. So if you're going to use the F word, forgiveness, use it abundantly and in every opportunity. It's about freeing yourself from the slavery and obedience of hatred, anger, judgment and suffering. It's the gift that you give to yourself under the illusion of giving to another. Forgiveness just means letting go, and it's letting go of that attachment to pain, stress and relentless reliving in the negative. Remember, the more people that you hear or observe or can see yourself exposed to that are demonstrating unforgiveness will let you know that there are aspects of yourself that are still being unforgiving. And in whatever area of your life that's going to be personal to yourself. But letting you know that you would not have it in your experience if it were not there to offer you the gift of sharing or teaching what is occurring in the now. You simply wouldn't identify with it. It simply wouldn't occur in your time and space. The fact that it does is giving you the opportunity to start asking your mind, how, where am I being unforgiving? Because if we knew straight away, we wouldn't have the issue. Forgiveness has never meant condoning or allowing or accepting. It's about being for what you want instead of adding energy and emotion to more of what you don't want. Unforgiveness is exhausting, debilitating, and a drainer of life force and purpose. And I can think of one woman in particular that I knew a long time ago. And this woman, to this day now, has become a very lovely, generous, soft and forgiving lady. However, I can tell you it was a long path for her. And I originally met her through a friend of mine many years ago. And when I went to her home the first time, she had a library of hundreds and hundreds of all the books, of all the inspirational, motivational books that I adored and loved. So for me, this was like a kid being let loose in a candy store. And so I would regularly visit her house to borrow books and read them and return them, and our friendship developed that way. However, each time I went to a home, my mind had to go on busy mode, constantly rechanging all the words and the language she chose to use, because I understood the power of mind, I understood the power of words, and I understood it's happening in my space. It's letting me know it's to do with me. However, I wasn't ready to deal with the it's to do with me. So I thought what I'll do is I'll just stop myself accepting her negativity and bitterness and anger for whatever situation, whatever person. It just didn't seem to matter. It was just a daily focus of her attention to give it out negatively and as bitterly as possible. And at one point I actually said to her, I thought, I've got to challenge and confront this, because this is such hard work for me to continually keep changing in my mind, saying, as I'd listen to the negativity, saying, oh, well, that's your perception, that's your thought, that's your world, continually trying to stop it saturating into my subconscious. And as I'm busy doing this, it became harder and harder and harder work that I finally confronted her and I said, you know, have you never read any of the books here that you have in your library, because they were all about forgiveness. They were all about the power of the spoken word. They were all about understanding love, moving towards unconditional love and away from judgment, yet none of it had seemed to seep into her existence or her way of being. Now, I'd love to say that, it was a epiphany for her and she had a total change of direction then and there. However, it wasn't. What it was for me is the opportunity to see that just because we have the knowledge does not mean we have the results in our life. There's many people have attended many courses, again, many seminars, read many books, myself included, and it's in reading it, just thinking about it, that's the theory. The theory needs to be put to the test. So with everything you receive during this Xtreme Transformation Coaching Program, please, the challenge is not to let it remain in the stratosphere of theory. If it comes in your inbox, put it into a space where you can regularly review it. This is about you. This is about your results that you're going to get. And if it's just staying there in your inbox and it's just a thought that's quickly read over and gone, oh yeah, and moved on, it's not going to have a huge impact in your life. It's sort of, I talk about nutrition at times as well, and I can tell you the best food to eat. I can go and get it all for you. I can chop it up and sit it down in front of you. You'll get the results from what you actually do, what you actually consume. And it's the same here with this information shared. It's what you choose to take from it, what you hear that personally for you has a charge on it. If there's something that you hear that you go, what a load of crap, or that you have the most resistance to, that's a wonderful, huge equivalent of a gold nugget. And that's the baby that you hang on to and have got to work with. Because the more resistant we are to a certain concept or idea, it's letting us know we just have a program that's reacting to this. And when I say the word program, I'm just talking about what we've been conditioned or instilled to believe, more than likely at most times before we're even able to walk. And the people responsible for instilling most of these ideas and beliefs will be those people we're exposed to in our earliest years of childhood. So if you've had tremendous and fabulous influences, good luck to you. If you're like the 99% of the rest of the population, they could all do with a bit of improvement. So again, it's not to lay blame, it's just to become more aware that we are a collection of many ideas, many beliefs, depending on what part of the world we're born in, the culture we're born into, the people and their ideas and beliefs that they've exposed around us. And it's not to say that one is correct and another is incorrect. It's to start looking at all of these different programs that we're operating on, or use the term beliefs or ideas, and to see, does this empower me in my life? Or does this take away my power? And that's the true thing that I believe in with all of my beliefs, be they spiritual, mental, emotional, financial, physical, is, does it empower me in my life? If it does, it's working for me. If it takes away my power, it's not working for me, it's working against me. And it's something I choose to not continue to give power to. Unforgiveness is one of those key areas, an unseen limitation, that we give our power away. Or I should say, change that word give to our power is siphoned away, because we're not willingly donating it. It's just being leaked out of us. Almost, it seems, against our own will and control. And you'll know the areas that you have unforgiveness around, because they will have charge for you. For example, if there's a person that you have in extreme crises, they've come to you and turned to you for help, and you've given of your time, energy, effort and finances to support them. And they've utilised and used all of that you've given them. And then within a couple of months later, when they're happy and contented, gone off on their own way, and you've not heard anything more from them. And that's the only time you hear from them is when they're in crises. Many people have these similar types of friends or circumstances. However, when you turn to them, they're no longer available. How do you feel about this? That feeling state indicates the level of forgiveness or unforgiveness. Now remember, I said forgiveness is not about accepting or condoning. Forgiveness is about letting go. It's letting go, as I said, to the attachment to pain, to suffering, to stress, and obviously the reliving of more of what we don't want. Forgiveness is that gift that we do give to ourselves under the illusion that we are giving it to another. The ability to forgive lets us pick back up the baton of love in our life. Lets us pick back up the baton of life that we love. It lets us move forward. It gives us the opportunity to let go of our special wounds. And I use that word special wounds because some of us talk about circumstances that have occurred in our past, and this gives us our uniqueness, our own specialness. And we say, oh, but you wouldn't understand. You weren't abused as a child. Oh, you wouldn't understand. You weren't raped. Oh, you wouldn't understand. You weren't abused in this fashion. You wouldn't understand. You didn't lose your limbs. You wouldn't understand. You didn't have this illness. You wouldn't understand. And the list goes on and on and on of whatever special wound we can attribute ourselves to having had or having experienced. And we have an attachment to keeping that there. And in keeping that there is locked in that element of unforgiveness. And it's having that element of unforgiveness that leaves a hole of which our life force is drained from us. And we cannot then live to the full potential and exponential value of what we truly came here to be. So before we set our goals for our dreams and desires and our passions and where we want to move to and what we want to do and what our challenges are, this is the one area of your lives I ask you to look into. To look into areas that are our gaps, because the universe abhors a gap. It looks to fill a gap at all times, and it fills it with more of the same. So if there's a gap that's created by, I use a technical term, gunk, the universe will fill it with more gunk. And the funny thing is, it remains as a gap, so it's never truly filled. So it just remains attractive to more gunk to keep coming into our lives. And gunk is all those things we do not want more of. We know them because they do not feel good. So examining this area of our lives gives us the opportunity to see where we limit our lives, first and foremost. We can't fight what we can't see. So our purpose is always going to be to identify and then to seek to rectify. So identification is our purpose. This is our key to increasing our awareness of the programs that we have instilled within us that are attracting and drawing to us the results we're currently experiencing in our life. This is a magnetic force that we can positively influence and change. That's the fabulous part of it. More of that coming up through next month. However, I'd just like to close at the moment by reminding you all you have access to me. Send me your emails of your questions. Your questions include your challenges that you're facing in any particular areas of your life. You can be as specific or as general as you like. This is about you. I have access to a massive database of so many mentors and successful people. So if I don't immediately know an answer or a tool or a strategy, I will seek it out. And I will get back to you at the end of every month with an audio again so that you can listen to it, as I said, in the ease of your car, your own private time and space that you can remove yourself from the rest of the world and its influences. If you need to get an answer from me urgently and can't wait till the end of the month, simply mark that in your email that it is urgent. You will all be aware that I do travel quite regularly and certainly have an abundance in my inbox. However, I certainly will endeavour at all times to get back to you as soon as I reasonably can, dependent on where, this is Obviously, there was a typhoon where I was just out in Hong Kong, so if communications are totally wiped out and the pigeons aren't flying, it may take a bit longer. Obviously, that's a joke. Some people will be sitting there in Asia going, oh, she sends pigeons? No, I do not. I'll be thinking, oh, they're very clever over there in Australia. No. So no. Again, the better questions you ask me, the better I'm able to assist you. Also, please, I know some of you already, and I know your backgrounds and your circumstances. Many of you are very successful and accomplished in your own right and are just wanting to bump up to that next level, move from the plateau where you currently are. This seems to be our common bond. So the more information I know about yourself, the more I can tailor our sessions together, being more specific and real. And that's my intention for this program, is that at all times we're there to support and help each other and grow each other. I grow through every one of you from my heart with humbleness, all the thanks and the gratitude that I do receive. It empowers me to keep doing exactly what it is I'm doing because I see the positive results. And also I love people, and you being part of this program, to me, is such motivation that you yourselves would probably have even then no idea. So, you know, that love is never ending. It's the opportunity we have that it's the ripple effect. You know, that pebble thrown in, it touches one person, the lives that you then touch, and so on as the story goes. So to close, remembering the quote, it's not who you think you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. And right now, one thing I know is that you are all forgiving individuals, first and foremost, of yourselves in every aspect. So this is the first area to visit before you start setting down what it is you do want to see realised in your life. We're going to have no little leaks happening in this boat. So until next time, much love to you all, ladies, and I'll be talking to you soon. Cheers. 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 Cheers.